One thing I learned in life, you can never bring somebody up if they don't want to go up. You can't. No matter how good you think you are, no matter how much you want to tell them, you could help them. If they don't want to go up, there's nothing you can do.
100%.
But the reverse is not true. Somebody bad could bring a good person down. They can.
100%.
Because the negativity in the world is much more stronger than the positive sometimes. And the negative people can bring you down. So I stay away from negative people.
You're right.
I just walk away from them.
What I tell people all the time, especially a lot of these youngsters, I deal with a lot of these young gangbangers.
Yes.
And I tell them, remember this, in life, you are who you hang out with.
Being around the right people, sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. Because it's too many people that's working against you and don't want to see you make it.
For some reason, some people would rather kill your dream than see you succeed.
Stop telling your visions to other people, because they're not going to see it. If you decide you want to be rich, who gonna stop you? Unless you tell it to the wrong person. Mama, I'm going to be rich. Anybody rich in this family? Go in there and sit down somewhere. Get yourself a good job.
You gonna open up a business and you 2 months behind in your rents. I'm just trying to make it real for you. I'm just trying to make it real. I'm just trying to make it real for you.
Mama could be wrong.
I think the biggest vulnerability you've got is you actually value somebody's opinion more than you value your own. At the end of the day, my guy, yourself.
Those people that you're so terrified of their opinion of you, those people are not the ones who will live with the regret. Those other people are not going to be there when it sucks and it's hard for you.
You got to get real quiet up here. I'm in my own mind, doing my own thing.
You know, there's so few people telling you to do it. You know what there is a lot of? Conserve, don't spend, don't take risk. The biggest struggle for me was my family, man. The people closest to me was the biggest struggle. So the point, you got fuel in your tank, and then you got somebody in the back seat saying, hey, be careful. They're putting mental pressure on the brakes when you're trying to accelerate.
Believe it or not, some people will be glad when you give up. This is a very strange thing. There's a law where there are people in your life that don't want to see you leave the comfort zone. That makes them feel like they could have done the same as well, but they didn't. And you don't necessarily make them look good.
They try and make you feel bad about being so blessed. They're envious. They're threatened by the idea that you're coming up.
First thing is this person antagonistic to my success? They're pretending to be concerned. They're posing as giving you feedback. And this is something that you just completely eliminate from your life. They should at least not be in your proximity.
My mother used to say, you run around with losers, you will end up a loser.
Are you going to go through the type of suffering that gets you closer to your dream, or the suffering that moves you further away? It's the suffering of emotion you feel, of wanting to please everybody. This is what I call false suffering that gets you nowhere. There's no reward to the emotional suffering you're going through, worrying about your haters, worrying about the detractors. Don't let anybody else ever cause you to suffer, to lose your vision, to lose your belief, to steal your dream, to get you to pay the ultimate price.
Look at you and look at your environment. Have you been positioned to flourish? People who hated you, environments that denied you, mentalities that poisoned you. You cannot take a peach seed and plant it in a teaspoon of dirt and expect it to grow. Have you always been planted in teacups? Small-minded people, narrow, limited places that never let you stretch to reach your capacity. Sometimes you gotta go where the corn is.
I know that sometimes you don't just have to listen to what people tell you. Sometimes people are gonna try to talk you out of your dream. And you got to look them right in the eye and say, hey, I'm just going to keep showing up. You got to show up for your life regardless of the circumstances. You got to show up for your life. Because if you don't, nobody else will.
Everybody says to me, hey, Inky, do you want to go to college? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to college. They said, nobody goes to college from Crim. The first day I get to the school, I see why everybody said what they said. There was a cop at every single door, metal detectors. My man starts searching me. What's your plan, little man? I said, oh man, I'm going D1, I'm going to college. He says to me, you'll probably go to cell block D1. When I got my scholarship from Tennessee and got back to Crim High School, the first person I went to see was that cop in the lunchroom. He said, how did you do it? He said, I've seen so many kids step up to me and say the same thing, and they end up dropping out. If I wanted to challenge you to see, would you retreat, or would you step up to me and fight for the thing that you said you wanted? In life, people don't burn out because of what they do. People burn out because life makes them forget why they do it.
Do you really love yourself? If you love yourself, why would you fuck with those type of people? You know what they're saying about you behind your back. You know that they don't like you. And because you're so desperate to have people around you, you continue to go back. You are old enough and mature enough to understand the difference in good people and bad people.
Toxic relationships are relationships with people that always criticize you. All they can do is remind you of the mistakes that you've made in the past. I know people whose lives have been ruined because somebody wasn't good for them.
So what their childhood friends? So what their family? You can't say that you love yourself when you continue to invite and include these people in your life.
Make a list of who you communicate with most and ask yourself the question, what kind of person am I becoming because of this relationship?
Or have you decided, because you're desperate, you've decided to drag these random people into the new season of your life? Is that relationship over? Are you just holding on to it because you got this concept of loyalty? Well, I've learned that loyalty has an expiration date. So if you had drugged that person, those family members, those situations into the new season of your life wouldn't be going as well as it's going right now. I have a choice to decide who and what and where I want to go. Because we're friends, because we grew up together, doesn't mean that I want to be a part of any and everything that you want me to be a part of. When you get invited to places, doesn't mean you have to show up, especially if you know what your experience is going to be like with these people. Feeling good is a responsibility that we all have for ourselves. I actually don't care what you say about me. I don't lose sleep over haters. Why? Because I know exactly how I feel about me. You're bored. You have nothing going on in your life, so you focused on my life. Listen, y'all. Stop running around being on the receiving end of whatever people want to dump on you. Stop running around acting as if you don't have a choice. You do have a choice. Stop playing the victim. You have a choice.
When you start talking about your goals, your dreams, they can't hear it. They can't see it for you. They just don't understand. And that's when they start saying stuff like, oh, he, she, they're acting funny. They're hanging with this new group of people and they done brainwashed them, they done tricked them. And guys, I heard all of this. Even though they do want the best for us, but they just cannot see the vision. So what can you do? You got to show them the vision. You got to show them the vision by becoming successful. You can't just talk about it. Family can be your biggest haters ever. I mean, they just don't care. Some people have to be successful. So in my reality, I'm successful. So I hate when they use that, oh, let's be realistic. You never did this before. You never did that. Blah, blah, blah. Come on. They can't see from themselves, so there's no way they can see it for you. Think about that, guys. If these people never been successful, how can you really expect them to support you and want you, to get to that next level and be successful? They never saw it for themselves. They never had it. So just keep that in mind when talking to friends and family.
Sometimes God will let us go through seasons where we're not getting what we expect from people. To teach us to not rely on another person, but to get our encouragement, our worth from Him. Because the higher God takes you, there will be more disapproval, more critics. If you're basing your worth on how people are treating you, you'll never become everything God created you to be. The less you depend on people, the stronger your spiritual muscles are going to become, and the higher you're going to go. You don't have to have all those people. You and God are a majority. You'll accomplish more with less people because of God's favor on your life. Quit trying to get from people what only God can give. God can give.